Hi, everyone. We'll start in just a couple moments. Hey, sweetie, come here. Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Donsky. I teach at the Bay Club in Redwood Shores on Monday evenings. This is Taco. He'll probably get in front of the camera at inappropriate times, but he's super sweet. Um, okay, so we're going to be doing an hour and 15 minutes of Hatha Yoga or Hatha Flow. Uh, we'll start in a seated position, cross-legged if you can, tall spine, and close your eyes. So with the spine tall and the eyes closed, start to watch the breath. Notice the pace of the breath, the depth of the breath, and notice the inhale versus the exhale. Which one is longer? Which one is more effortless? Just watch. Now start to scan the body, scanning for any kind of resistance that you might feel, starting at the crown of the head, working your way back down the neck, scanning for any resistance in the neck or the shoulders, upper back, the chest. The musculature around the spine, rib cage, down to the low back, maybe even noticing any subtle resistance in the internal organs like the kidneys. And down to the pelvic floor, all the way through the legs, down to the soles of the feet. And now continuing, notice if there's any vibrational quality to the body. Are you feeling dull, lethargic, maybe agitated, or possibly spacious. And now start to reflect on the mind, noticing if there's any emotional color to your thoughts right now. Okay, not trying to change anything, just study, notice how you feel. And now continuing this with the spine tall, the eyes closed, soft muscles, I'll ask you to recall a situation that's been troubling for you. You know, obviously, that should be pretty easy for many of us recently. Just think of something that's been troubling for you, something specific. Create full awareness of that troubling situation and notice how it makes you feel. Notice the physical sensation that arises from that troubling situation in your body. Where do you feel the situation most? Just allow that to simmer. And it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's a troubling situation, but just observe. And now, in the midst of that experience, notice that there is a part of you that remains unaffected by that situation. The observer, completely still, untouched by external circumstances. That's what the tradition calls Purusha, or the soul. And throughout this practice, more and more we'll cultivate being established in that part of you that's beyond being touched by external circumstances. So now let all of this fade. Start to come back to the breath. Maybe blink the eyes open. And we'll come to all fours. Oh, just a quick point before we start to move. I have a couple of props here, okay? So I suggest you have a block and a strap if you have. But if you don't, I just realized that dish towels are probably ideal props instead of straps for what we're doing today. And I mentioned, I think today's Wednesday, so I guess on Monday's practice, a can. You can also use tomato sauce. I recommend Trader Joe's Arrabbiata. Just anything that you can use for some extra height. Okay, so be creative, but you'll likely want to use the block or the tomato sauce or can to help you forward folds and twists. The strap will be helpful in at least one of the binds that I plan uh, for us to do. Okay, so from here, come to all fours, facing the front of the mat, and take an inhale here and an exhale here. Inhale for 4 counts. And exhale for 4 counts. Now inhale. Exhale, bend the elbows down towards the mat and press the hips back to the heels to come into child's pose. Inhale, come back up to all fours. Exhale, tuck the toes and press back to down dog. Inhale, take around 4 counts to drop the knees back down to all fours. Exhale, hips to heels, child's pose. Again, inhale up to all fours. Tuck the toes, exhale, press back to down dog. And we'll stay in down dog. Inhale and exhale. And then inhale, drop the knees down to all fours. Exhale, hips to heels, child's pose. Okay, we're going to build on the down dog holds. So inhale, come up to all fours. Exhale, tuck the toes, press back to down dog. We're going to stay here for 3 full breaths. So inhale, root the palms firmly into the mat. Exhale, lengthen the spine up to the sky. Inhale here. Exhale. Inhale once more. Exhale. Inhale, drop down to all fours. Exhale, hips to heels. Inhale, come up to all fours. Tuck the toes. Exhale, back to down dog. We're going to stay here for 5 full breaths. So it's a reasonably long hold. You can spend the first breath or so finding your pose. So root the palms firmly into the mat. Lengthen the spine. As you exhale, root the thigh bones to the back of the room. We'll stay here for about 4 more breaths. So for the last 3 breaths or so, I'll ask you to just stop any adjusting. Okay? Just find your pose and be established in the pose for the next 2 or 3 breaths. No more movement. Okay, one more inhale here. And then exhale without raising the right leg. Step the right foot between the hands and come into a lunge with the right foot forward. Stay here for an inhale. Stay here for an exhale. Now you can stay here, or if you have the space to do so, bring the hands to the front thigh, or bring the arms overhead. We'll stay here for another 4 or 5 breaths. Inhale for 4, and exhale for 4. And for the last couple of breaths, get the body still, or even get the gaze steady, so the eyes don't shift around. Pick one point, maybe off at the horizon. Be completely still. One more inhale right here. And exhale, hands down, back to down dog. Inhale, glide forward to high plank. Exhale, back to down dog. Let's do that again. Inhale, glide forward to high plank. Stay in high plank as you exhale. Stay in high plank as you inhale. And then exhale back to down dog. Take an inhale right here. And then exhale, step the left foot forward into the lunge. Okay, so, in a class, I would look to make sure that your front shin is vertical, or at least no more than vertical. So make sure that that front knee is not beyond the front ankle. Back leg is straight. And then you can choose, keep the hands where they are on the mat, or bring the hands to the front thigh, or arms up overhead. One more inhale right here. And exhale again, hands down, back to down dog. Inhale, glide forward to high plank. Exhale, back to down dog. Again, inhale, glide forward to high plank. Stay here as you exhale. Stay here as you inhale. And exhale, back to down dog. From here, walk the feet forward so you come into a forward fold, Uttanasana. If you have a block or the tomato sauce, you can rest the hands on the block. Let the head get heavy. Hands to the hips and come all the way up to standing. Keep facing the front of the mat. I'll face you. Just observe. Notice how you feel. Go back to that scan of the breath. The scan of the body. Awareness of that troubling situation. And then be established in that part of you that is beyond or untouched by any of the difficulty. Okay, so from here, feet hip width apart. We're going to go in and out of chair pose. So inhale, reach the toes, make sure the toes are pointing straight forward. Outside edges of the feet parallel to one another. Again, feet hip width apart. Inhale, reach up high. Exhale, sink the hips down. So you're in chair pose. Inhale, stay right here. And then exhale with the legs bent still, fold forward. Let the head get heavy. Keep the hips low. Inhale, back up into chair pose. Exhale, stay right here in chair. Inhale, straighten the legs. We'll repeat that a couple more times. Exhale, sink the hips down. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Legs bent, hips low, head heavy. Inhale, back up into chair. Stay here as you exhale. Inhale, straighten the legs. Okay, 2 more times. Exhale, sink the hips. Inhale, stay here. And exhale, fold. Inhale, back up into chair. Exhale, sink the hips. Or stay here. Inhale, straighten the legs. Okay, one last time. Exhale, sink the hips down. Inhale, stay right here. Exhale, fold. Inhale, back up into chair pose. And we're going to stay here for 5 breaths. One more inhale here. One more exhale here. Inhale, straighten the legs. And exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Step back to down dog. One more inhale here. And then exhale, step the left foot forward. Come to face the side of the mat, feet parallel to one another. So your legs are around a yard apart from one leg width. We're going to go into side angle pose. So pivot the right toes towards in my case, it's the back of the mat. I think for you it should be the same. Well, it depends on where your screen is. But right toes point out, left toes point in. Bring the arms out to the side. And then exhale, bend the right leg, plant the right hand on either, actually, let's grab the ankle for right now. And then inhale, left arm overhead. Exhale, sweep the left arm back to the hip. Keep holding on to the right ankle. Inhale, reach overhead. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Use the movement of the arm to facilitate the breath. So inhale again, reach up and overhead. Exhale. And now inhale, top arm overhead, palm face down. And we'll hang out here. So we're going to stay here for about 5 breaths. You can keep holding on to the ankle. Otherwise, for today's practice, I recommend you plant the hand on the inside edge of the front foot or on a block on the inside rather than the outside of the front foot. Smooth, even breathing. So in for 4 and out for 4. Couple more rounds. Now to come out of the pose, bring the left arm vertical and imagine that I'm holding on to the left wrist. As you inhale, I'm pulling that left wrist all the way up, feet parallel, and pause here for a moment. Legs wide. Let's notice how you feel. Now we'll pivot the left toes towards the front of the room. So left toes out, right toes in. That's relative to the midline of the body. Inhale, arms out to the side. Exhale, bend the left leg. Plant the left hand where it's right for you based on what you did on the other side. Inhale, sweep the right arm overhead. Exhale, sweep the right hand back to the right hip. Couple more rounds. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Sense that the movement of the body is really just a vehicle to smooth out the breath. Okay, a couple more times. Then inhale, reach the top arm overhead. And we're going to hang out here. You can plant the hand on a block, grab the wrist, or forearm on the thigh. But if you plant the hand on the block or plant the hand on the mat, place it on the inside of the front foot for today. In for 4. And out for 4. Couple more breaths. And now, same thing, inhale, reach the right arm vertical. Imagine that I'm holding onto the right wrist and pulling yourself all the way up to standing. Feet parallel, step to the front of the mat, pause here, and notice how you feel. Where are you most aware of your body right now? Okay. So from here, still face the front of the mat, feet parallel. We're going to do a couple rounds of dynamic uttanasana, dynamic forward folds. Now, if your back is healthy, you can do this with the arms overhead. But a couple modifications if you're just be careful, take care of yourself. As we do this fold, I'm going to guide you with the arms overhead with a straight spine. Don't do it yet, just watch, please. Folding forward. Okay, that's one way. Another approach, though, is to bring one arm overhead. So this is my left arm, folding forward with the left arm. And we're going to do it a couple rounds so you can alternate arms and then the right arm. Another approach would be with the arms overhead, you can sweep them to the low back as you fold forward. Okay, do any other modifications you want to do, perfectly fine, of course. Bending the legs sometimes help, uh, but I'll do it with the arms overhead. So inhale here, and exhale around 4 counts, come all the way down. 2, 3, 4. Let the head get heavy. Inhale, 4 counts all the way up. 3, 4. A couple more rounds like that. Actually, 3 more. Fold forward. Inhale with a straight spine, come all the way up. Pay attention to your body. Exhale, fold forward. If you're feeling this in the low back, maybe bend the legs or just modify in a way that inhale back up. You're being careful. A couple more rounds. Actually, 1 more. Inhale all the way back up. And now exhale, fold back down. Plant the hands on the blocks or grab the ankles. We're going to come into a forward fold for about 5 breaths. In for 4 and out for 4. And I'll encourage you to not look for depth in this pose, but rather look for steadiness and spaciousness. So Patanjali is pretty clear in the Yoga Sutras on how to perfect a pose. And he tells us the way you perfect a pose is by loosening the effort. It's not so much about like going out of the pose, not going as deep as you can, but where are you working unnecessarily? Where are you overexerting? How can you soften into this pose and loosen the effort? Let's stay here a couple more breaths. Okay, now to come out of the pose, bend the legs. We're going to come into chair pose very briefly. Inhale up. Exhale, stay here. Then inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, release the arms. And let's spend just a couple breaths right here, standing in mountain pose with a tall spine. You may want to even close the eyes. Okay, I mentioned on Monday that rather than looking at these online practices as being watered down yoga because you're at home and you're not in a studio and you aren't getting the hands-on adjustments and all the things that we've kind of come used to, look at this as a way to actually deepen your practice. And without a doubt, this could be seen as more advanced yoga. If you can close the eyes, connect with your body, connect with your breath, and without even expecting to change anything, just noticing how you feel. It could easily be exhausted, it could be fatigued, it could be stressed out, anxious, all of those. However you feel, is just accept that. But then notice that there's a part of you that's beyond all those sensations. That's just pure awareness. Fully capable of taking on anything that life presents. And again, that's the Purusha. Okay, so from here, let's take a big step out to the side. My sister just texted me and she said she was taking this class, so I'll find out what that means. But hi, Debbie, if you're on, and Mom, I think you're on too. Okay, so feet hip width apart. Actually, let's take the feet just slightly, maybe like 2 feet apart from one another. This is a kind of like revolved triangle pose, but the feet are parallel to each other. It's a different sensation. You'll see how it goes. So bring the arms out to the side, palms face down. Inhale here. Exhale, slight bend of the right leg. Okay, so this is my right leg, you bend your right leg. Plant the left hand on the outside of the right foot, fingertips pointing away from the toes, like fingertips point behind you. Inhale, come back up. And we'll do that 3 more times. Exhale, twist to the right. So same side. Inhale, come back up. Okay, 2 more. Inhale, back up. Last one. And back up. Now we're going to go to the second side. So inhale here. Exhale, twist to the left. Right hand to the outside of the left foot. Inhale, back up. 3 more times, same side. I think there's one more there. Okay. And then come back up. I grabbed my block. You grab a prop that will give you some extra height, unless you're fine going into the twist without using a block. We're going to hold this pose for about 5 breaths now. So inhale, exhale, bend the right leg, plant the left hand on the outside of the right foot, and we're going to stay here for 5 even, smooth breaths. Now, I'll ask you to gradually move into a steady pose, but to start off, make sure that back leg, your left leg, is fully straight. Perfectly fine to bend the right leg, the leg you're twisting towards, any amounts to help you stay in this pose. But if you have the space, gradually straighten that right leg. So both legs are straight. We'll stay here another 2 breaths. Then inhale, grab the block, come all the way up. Change hands with the block. Exhale here. Inhale again. Exhale, bend the left leg. We're going to twist to the left. So here as well, make sure that that right leg is straight. You can slightly bend the left leg, or over time, straighten that left leg. Smooth out the breath, in for 4. And out for 4. Okay, 2 more breaths here. Then inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, step to the front of the mat. And pause here. Notice how you feel. And again, when I say notice how you feel, be established in that part of you that is beyond all that sensation and it's just pure awareness. You can start to realize that you're not your thoughts, but you're actually that which experiences your mind thinking. Pure awareness. Okay, so from here, still facing the front of the mat, I'll face you. Step the left foot back around 2 feet. Both feet on the ground, left toes pointed out a little bit, about like 30 degrees. We're going to go into Parsvottanasana. So inhale. Again, you can make modifications that I recommended before in the forward fold. So you can bring both arms overhead, or if you want just one arm, bring the left arm overhead, and we'll stick with the left arm overhead with the right hand at the low back, palm faces away from you. Like that. I'd say those are really the 2 modifications, and you can sweep the left hand to the low back, or inhale here. Exhale, keep the left arm overhead and fold all the way forward. You can do that with both arms as well. Inhale all the way back up. 3 more rounds. Inhale back up. How smooth and steady can your body be? How smooth and steady can your breath be? Okay, we're going to go down once more. Exhale, fold down. Now inhale halfway up. We're going to stay here for 4 breaths. Either your left arm is overhead or both arms overhead, or if that's too much, both hands at the low back. Look down, not forward. Smooth out the breath. Both legs are straight. One more inhale right here. One more exhale. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, fold all the way down. Plant the hands either on the mat or on blocks underneath the shoulders, or bring the hands to the low back and grab the right wrist with the left hand. In for 4 and out for 4. Just a couple more breaths here. Notice in these poses, sensations arise, and then your mind kicks in and starts telling you a whole story about what's happening. But be established in the witness. You're not your thoughts. You're that which experiences your mind thinking. Pure awareness, untouched by external circumstances. Now to come out of the pose, if the hands are at the low back, release the left arm overhead. Inhale, come all the way back up. And exhale, step to the front of the mat. Pause here for just a breath or two. Now we're going to step the right leg back. I'm going to do this with the right arm overhead rather than both arms. You can bring both arms overhead if you want it to be more kind of strength challenging. With my left hand, it's at the low back, palm faces away from me. Inhale here. Exhale. Fold forward. Inhale, come all the way back up. 3 more rounds. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, back up. 2 more. Now, inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, fold all the way down. And then inhale halfway up. Okay, so we're going to hold this for about 5 breaths. You can choose to keep the right arm overhead and reach out from the inner elbow towards the front of the room. Bring both arms overhead if you really want to challenge your strength. Or if you want to take care of your low back, bring the hands to the low back. Okay, I'll keep one arm overhead. Look down. Okay, back of the neck is long. One more inhale right here. And exhale. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, fold all the way down. Either bring the hands underneath the shoulders in Parsvottanasana, like pyramid pose. Or bring the hands to the low back and grab the left wrist. We'll stay here for another 5 breaths or so. Again, slight tuck of the chin. Make sure the back of the neck is long. You know, I think most of us are probably like watching the news constantly. But when you tuck the chin, you start to go inward. Rather than looking out and taking external sensation and bringing it in, go inward. Notice how you feel. Then we'll inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, step to the front of the mat. And again, pause here. We'll do a couple more rounds of chair pose. So inhale, reach up, feet hip width apart. Exhale, sink the hips. Chair pose, 5 breaths. Inhale, reach up high. Exhale, squeeze the pelvic floor and sense that the exhale is originating from the pelvic floor, lifting up. Inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, release the arms. So you're all standing at the front of the mat. I'll ask you to take a big step out with the right foot so your feet are parallel again. Grab your strap or dish towel, hand towel, anything that you have that can help support a bind, and just place it on by the side of the right foot. Okay, we're going to inhale. Actually, let's get the legs straight set up. Pivot the right toes towards the back of the room. Inhale here. We're going to go into side angle pose again. So bend the right leg, plant the right hand. You can plant the forearm on the right forearm on the right thigh. Bring the top arm overhead. That's one stage. Perfectly fine to be there. I think my mom is doing this, so mom, just stay here. Okay? And if you want to continue, you can plant the hand on the inside of the foot, the top arm overhead. Okay, that's stage 2. Stage 3, go for the bind. Okay, so the bind is bound side angle pose. So swing the right hand underneath the right thigh, left hand by the low back. I'm using a strap to help with the bind. If you can do it without the strap, that's great. If you can't, perfectly fine. But if you're going for the bind and you need to use the strap, use the strap, because where we're going is going to be quite helpful. Okay, so this is the next stage in the bind, Baddha Parshvottanasana. Now you can stay right here, this is plenty, but if you have the room to do so on an exhale, press the right leg straight so you go into bound triangle pose. And we'll stay here for another couple breaths. Now, if you can't stay in the bind when you go into triangle pose, but you can stay in the bind in bound side angle pose, I prefer you stay in side angle pose. Now to get out of the pose, if you're in bound triangle pose, stay in the bind and bend right leg. If you're in bound side angle pose. Now, if you're in bound side angle pose, unbind. Come back into regular side angle pose. And then you'll come all the way up. Feet parallel. Pause here. And now we'll do the second side. So grab your strap placed on the outside of the left foot. Pivot the left toes out. Inhale the arms up. Exhale. Left forearm to the left thigh. Perfectly fine to be right here, right arm overhead. If you can continue, left hand to the left ankle. Or if you can go for the bind, grab the strap or the dish towel with the right hand, let it drape down behind the back, and then reach under the thigh with the left hand and come into bound side angle pose, Baddha Parshvottanasana. Now remember, this isn't a forward fold, this is a side stretch. So reach that top shoulder back. Okay, don't slouch forward. Reach that top shoulder back. Ideally, the shoulders are stacked. And then if you can, straighten the left leg into bound triangle pose. Now to come out of the pose, if you're in bound triangle pose, stay in the bind, but bend the left leg into bound side angle pose. If you're in bound side angle pose, release the bind. And then all of us, let's come up to standing, step to the front of the mat, and pause here. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Plant the hand on blocks, or if you can grab the big toes with the peace fingers, inhale, lengthen halfway up, and exhale, fold. We're going to stay here for about 1 minute. Okay, so we're about halfway through. I don't have a timer here, so I'm just kind of going by instinct. But for the last half minute, let the back of the head get heavy. Trust that you're doing the pose perfectly correctly, and just loosen the effort. Nothing to reach for, nothing to adjust. Just be established in the witness. And now release the toes, plant the hands underneath the shoulders, step back to down dog. 1 minute here. I'll keep quiet. When we do these, well, I won't be completely quiet, but when we do these long holds, the mind inevitably starts to wander, but keep reminding yourself that you're not your thoughts, you're that which experiences the mind thinking. And start to ask yourself, what is the source of thought? If you come to Friday's class, I'll give you the answer to that. No, actually, you have to figure it out yourself. But we'll do a yoga nidra practice on Friday. It'll help you get connected with that part of you again in a different way. Okay, another inhale here. Another exhale here. Now inhale, drop down to the knees. Exhale, press back to child's pose. And we'll pause here just for about, say, half a minute or so. So again, the mind starts to kick in, starts to tell you stories. The stories are triggered off sensations or observations. But remember, you're not your thoughts. And more in this practice, we learn to separate sensation from story. And I think for all of us in such a challenging time, it's really important to do that. To notice what's present in front of you and notice where your mind is just telling you stories that aren't real, that haven't played out. And then be established in the observer. You're not your thoughts. Okay. So from here, let's roll onto our backs. My glasses got foggy. Feet on the mat, legs bent, feet underneath the ankles. We're going to go into dynamic bridge pose, and we'll hold bridge pose a little bit. This is similar to how we practiced on Monday. My teacher calls this Dvipada Pitam, but it's dynamic bridge. So Feet underneath the knees. Inhale, press the hips up and bring the arms up and overhead, touching the floor behind you. And exhale, bring the arms up and overhead, well, actually up and then down by the side and lower the hips. Okay, so again, let the movement support the breath, not the other way around. So inhale, press the hips up. Keep inhaling as you move the arms up and overhead. You finish the inhale when you touch the floor overhead. Exhale, over the hips, bring the arms up and then down by the side. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, press the hips up. Exhale, lower the hips down. And now this time, exhale, press the hips up. Keep the hips up and lower the arms by the side. We're going to stay here for about 5 breaths. I like to grab the outside edges of the mat rather than interlace the fingers. But you can interlace the fingers or grab the outside edges of the mat. Press the hips up. Stay here for another 4 breaths or so. And exhale, lower the hips down, release the clasp, and pause here. Just adjust and observe what needs to be seen. You might start to notice that without a doubt, this home practice is easily a deeper practice. With the eyes open. We're going to roll onto our belly now. A couple rounds of Cobra. We're going to do it a little differently today, though. So bring the hands by the side of the chest. Look face down. Legs together. Now inhale. Come up into Cobra. Exhale, halfway down. And then inhale, come up higher. Exhale, lower all the way down. Okay, so we're going to repeat that movement, but I just want to point out this is another pose where you can mess up your back if you don't do it skillfully. So I'm going to encourage you to not judge the quality of the pose based on the volume of the pose. Okay, base it on the evenness of the back bend distributed throughout the spine. So if you go 30% of what you can do at your maximum, but you kind of jack into your low back, that's a much more integrated pose. Will help you much more for today and probably for life, in terms of your back health. Okay, so arms by the side. Inhale, come up with integrity. Exhale, lower halfway down. Inhale, come back up. Stay here as you exhale. Stay here as you inhale. Exhale, lower all the way down. We'll repeat that. Inhale, come up. Exhale, halfway down. Inhale, come back up. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths now. And you'll notice my elbows are bent. In Cobra, the elbows are bent. Okay, the upper arms kind of represent the hood of the Cobra. Inhale here. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale down. Last time, inhale, come back up. Exhale, halfway down. And then inhale, come back up. 5 breaths here. Okay, so this is a pretty long hold. I'm not suggesting that you kind of go easy on the pose, but go to that place where you can soften the effort, distribute the back bend evenly throughout the spine. and find that perfect balance of stability and ease. Inhale once more here. Exhale, release down. Look to the right, place the left cheek on the mat. Close the eyes and pause here. And then look to the other side. Right cheek on the mat. Okay. From here, come up to all fours. Exhale, press the hips to heels. Inhale again up to all fours. Exhale, hips to heels. Last time, inhale up to all fours. Exhale, hips to heels. And pause here. Staying in child's pose. Okay. From here, very briefly, press back to down dog. Take an inhale here. And exhale, swing the right foot forward into pigeon. If for any reason you don't want to do pigeon on your front, for example, your knees are telling you not to, perfectly fine. Go into pigeon on your back, which is crossing like figure four and thread the needle. Okay. I'm going to do it on my fronts. Again, I mentioned this is your own practice, so play around with it and figure out what's right for you. Taking care of your knees, of course, and the rest of your body. Gradually walk the hands forward and rest the forehead on the mat. We'll stay here for about 1 minute. If you're on your back, thread the needle. Just hang out here as well on your back and thread the needle with the head on the mat, back of the neck long, slight tuck of the chin. And whether you're on your front or your back, smooth out the breath. In for 4. Out for 4. Notice the sensation of this pose. Notice the thoughts that the sensation triggers. Recognize that those thoughts are distinct from the sensation. And then remind yourself that you're not your thoughts. Your awareness, experiencing the mind thinking. Okay. So from here, any way you'd like to go to the second side. So if you're on your back, just switch legs. If you're on your front, you can press back to down dog if you'd like, or any way you want, just bring the left leg forward. and come into pigeon on the left, or pigeon on your back. Okay, so we'll stay, on the previous side, I wasn't explicit about this, but I stay on my forearms. Gradually make your way down. If you have a block, you can rest the forearms on the block, or you can rest the forehead on the block. Or if you have the room to do so, rest the forehead on the mat, walk the hands forward, and become aware of sensation. Okay, so from here, let's come back up to the seated position. And we're going to take our legs wide. I forget the name of this pose. I think it's Upavishta Konasana. But either way, wide leg. And from here, just walk the hands forward any amount. Okay, for today, I'm going to encourage you not to round the spine at all, but instead keep the spine straight. So you may not go down far at all. Like me, I'm far going down. Um, you may go straight down, if you have the room in your, I guess your hip joints. It allows you to fold forward. Uh, Wherever you are, though, keep the spine straight and just, there are lots of modifications here. One way might be hard with a tomato sauce jar, but with the block, you can rest the forearms on the block. If you have two blocks, I sometimes grant Yiddish when I teach. Um, okay, so from here you can stack the block. We'll hang out here. Tuck the chin, close the eyes, and be still. If there's a single thing that you can learn from this practice, it's to separate sensation from story. Notice what's happening and notice the story that you're telling yourself about what's happening. Notice how you're playing things out in the future, how much of that is not real. Certainly there's an element to be prepared for things, no question about that. But to panic based on things that haven't happened, that are not real, is just unnecessary and certainly unhelpful. So the more you can just notice that your mind is spinning out of control, the more you can notice what is the sensation and what is the story, and not indulge the story, the more you can be grounded in the present. Obviously, it's easy to say that. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning almost every day thinking about something, we all have these struggles, but I do have to remind myself that there's sensation and there's story. And if you know me, waking up at 5:30 in the morning is not something I do. Okay, so from here, let's come back up. We're going to repeat that pose, Upavishta Konasana, Or we're going to go into a pose called Kurmasana, which is a tortoise pose. To come into this pose, you can think of it as being Upavishra Konasana, stacked with your arms underneath the legs, and you kind of fold forward. If you have the room to do so, you can bind the hands at the low back, but interlace the forearms underneath the thigh first, or the upper arms underneath the thighs. I can do the pose perfectly, but just out of humility, I won't show you. I actually can't do it fully at all. But what I can do is vary this approach into it, which I encourage you to try as well. Okay. If you have the range of motion to go into the full Kurmasana, go ahead and do it. But otherwise, feet, I say feet around 2 feet apart from each other, legs bent, knees off the mat. And you can place the hands underneath the arms. If you have any issues with the low back, just don't do this pose. Skip this one because done unskillfully, you can really tweak the low back. Okay, so and in fact, if you want a modification beyond Upavishra Konasana, you can keep the legs bent and just keep the upper arms, kind of upper body and arms at a 45-degree angle. Just hang out here. Okay. If you want to continue, swing the arms underneath the knees and the thighs. Gradually press the legs straight as fold forward. In any amount, we'll just hang out here for a couple moments, maybe 5 breaths, let's say. If you're doing that modification where your upper body's at 45 degrees, it's going to be pretty intense physically. So if you need to back off, no problem. And then to come out of the pose, swing, release the arms from underneath the legs and come upright with the legs wide. Finally, feet together, knees apart, Baddha Konasana. Grab the feet, thumbs on the inside of the feet, and fingertips on the top of the feet. Tall spine. Tuck the chin. Back the neck long. Now, any amount, bend the elbows and lean the body forward with the spine tall, straight spine. Tuck the chin. If you can go a little bit further, go ahead. And gradually, you'll find your edge and hang out there. And your edge might be a full-on forward fold. It may not be. Wherever you are, loosen the effort. If you have room to go deeper as you hold this pose, that's perfectly fine. It's not about being rigid, but it's certainly not about forcing yourself or jamming yourself into positions that are not helpful. And inhale, come all the way up. And we will get ready for some Shavasana. So line your back, arms by the side, palms face up if it's comfortable. Otherwise, palms face down is perfectly fine. Sink the eyes into the eye sockets. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. and get completely comfortable. Start to become aware of sound. Perceive each sound as it comes and goes. Attach to nothing. Simply listen. Become less and less bound to what is outside. Now, become aware of the body. Sense the unique way that the body is being held right now. Observe sensations. Some are familiar, some are unique. Allow the body to drop deeper and deeper into restfulness, and maybe even sleep. The body surrenders to gravity and is completely cradled by the earth. Let go of all muscles of the face. Release the upper arms, the chest, the breasts. The arms and hands, the fingers, the thumbs, all pulled by the earth and claimed by gravity. Sense the floor supporting the heart, supporting the lungs, supporting the internal organs. And now, let go of any remaining effort. Let go of any remaining concern about moving the body, holding the body, so that the mind can relax. You are no longer the doer. towards sleep, and the mind completely lets go. Now, slowly move back to the breath. Take 3 or 4 relaxed breaths. Take your time. Whenever you're ready, roll to a side and come back. We'll meet briefly in a seated position to close off the practice. If you'd like, bring the hands to prayer position. Okay, thank you, everyone. Namaste. Okay, well, thanks very much, everyone. We'll be meeting again this Friday at noon. The class is 12 to 1:15. We'll do a little bit of movement, but Friday's class is focused primarily on Yoga Nidra. So if you liked that Shavasana, you can think of it as we'll have basically a 45-minute Shavasana with about half an hour of movement prior to that. So hopefully you can make it, and thank you very much for joining. Hope you all stay well, and have a great day. Okay, bye.